Best of r/Tales from Tech Support episode 84. Subscribe for edit videos daily. So this was back in 2001 when I worked for a holding company and was running desktop tech support along with one other person for 11 banks. I was at one branch troubleshooting a loan officer's laptop which had one of those PCMCIA Ethernet adapters with an attachable dongle for the actual large A45 port. The dongle had snapped, as they do, though if you put pressure on it, it worked. I told him if he had to put pressure on it to get it to work, but we were going to need to get him a new one. This was an exact transcription of a voicemail he sent to me that evening. I remember putting this in my Palm Pilot as I giggled. I played with my pigtail last night. I jiggled a part that was bent and it seemed to work okay. When it does come, the new pigtail, I'll let you know. Thank you. Next. Actually, this is just one of several times I have failed. Be showered with kudos. Be advised that this is long and the text contains a link to actual gore. My form of tech support is aircraft maintenance, working on fixed wing aeroplanes and helicopters with a value ranging from mid-5 figures to mid-8 figures. They usually can be divided into airborne aluminium pit ponies or their owner's pride and joy. Even a business jet worth more than $10 million can be treated as a workhorse, while a 45-year-old $40,000 bug smasher may be pampered by its owner. The events recounted here took place around the turn of the century/millennium, before I conned some of my colleagues into thinking that I knew what I was doing. I had been working on a Piper Cheyenne, a twin-engine turboprop. The RH engine inlet anti-ice system wasn't working. What is engine inlet anti-ice? I hear you say? To quote Dean from the Curiosity Show, I'm glad you asked. Technical information. Turbine engines, of which turboprops are a subset, have things inside them spinning at tens of thousands of RPM. These things tend not to like being hit by foreign objects, be it birds, bolts, bits of ice or, in one case I was told about, a key left in the lock of a nose baggage compartment door. If a foreign object hits the spinny fasty things, bad things can happen, such as this, famously, this, or this. Warning. Gore, very much not for the squeamish. Ice can form on aircraft because it's cold up there and sometimes it is wet enough as well. To protect the spinny fasty bits from ice, it's not possible to protect them from birds, keys or unfortunate people. The air inlet of a turbine engine is heated to prevent ice from forming and building up, then breaking off in chunks and going into the engine. Usually the inlet is heated by hot air tapped off the engine itself. Next time you look at a jet aircraft you might see a shiny ring around the air inlet. This is the bit that heats up. Many turboprops have the same arrangement. The Piper Cheyenne engine inlets have a different system. They have a shaped rubber boot on them, with an electric heating element impregnated in the rubber, like a rear window of a car, but rubber instead of glass and in a ring with extra flappy bits to cover the inside and outside of the inlet instead of a flat sheet. The boot is glued on with an excellent adhesive made by 3M called 1300L. It turns out the RH engine anti-ice inlet boot on this Cheyenne was cactus and needed to be replaced. This is a pain in the ass job. For one thing, 1300L is a really excellent adhesive. It will keep rubber attached to aluminium at a speed of several hundred miles an hour. Most aircraft are manufactured in the USA, so in aviation we use imperial units, except in Russia and, I think, China. So good. The boot is often ripped to pieces during the removal process. Adding to the pain and the arsedness of the whole thing is the shape of the boot itself. It's a ring with compound curves. Kind of looks like a molded plastic dog food bowl turned upside down with the middle part of the bowl cut out, leaving just the rim part. Anywho, after waiting several days for the new boot to come from the USA, I got the old boot off, cleaned off the residue of bits of rubber and 1300L, and glued the new boot on. This taking much of the day. It was now time to test that the boot heated up. This is supposed to be done with the engine running so that there is some nice cool air being blown over the boot by the spinning propeller. I decided that turning the system on for a few seconds would be okay, so I arranged for a colleague to get in the cockpit and flip the necessary switches while I stood outside and monitored the boot. I wiped the boot down with a wet rag, to keep it cool, and called out to $colleague, on Ron Howard voice. It did not go well. In less time than it took for my jaw to drop, pick back up to the rest of my face and for my mouth to form and shout the word off. All of the moisture evaporated off the surface of the boat. A bubble the size of a tennis ball appeared, like a kid blowing evil, black bubble gum, and promptly burst with a soft pop. The brand new boat, that cost about $8,800 in turn of the century dollars, was fucked. And to the guy whose job it was to internally investigate employee fuck-ups maintenance incidents. I shall call him Thomas de Toque Martha Jim, for that was his name. Actually his name was //Wildhaven B. James, but in English names are often shortened, so that Lawrence becomes Laurie, Anthony becomes Tony, Alexander becomes Sandy, and Justin asshole becomes CNT. Apologies in advance to people named Justin whom I don't know, but I digress. Jim had our backs against the depredations of management and asked all sorts of leading questions during his interview of me. Jim, so Gert, you felt like you were under a lot of time pressure, didn't you? All this lamp flickers, semaphore flags flutter, a Morse key taps, flares issue from flare guns and hang from the ceiling of Jim's office. Jim is very busy for a few moments. Dramatization. May not have happened. Me. Yes I did. I then changed the boot a second time. TL. Doctor, look. Up in the sky. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Jim. Slower than a speeding echidna. Able to lift self-inflicted buses off hapless aircraft maintenance engineers with a few strokes of a pen. Thank you. Next. Today I had a request that a user wasn't able to access some file shares. She had just been given permissions to access them, so I assumed first line support had messed up adding her to the right group. Wait a second. Everything looks okay. Weird. Maybe the issue was with either the permission structures or AD replication? Nope. She still had permissions to access other shares on the same server. Maybe her reboot wasn't actually a reboot. I watched the reboot this time. No change. Alright, let's dig into this thing. As a matter of course, I run a gp update in gpresalt/r wait. The new groups are missing in the gpresalt output. I run a homie/groups but it also doesn't show the new groups. Clist purge to manually kill and refresh the Kerberos ticket, but no change. But wait, the clist tgt command shows an error. No credentials are available in the security package. Oh my, the computer isn't generating Kerberos tickets? There's your problem right there. Remove and re-add the PC to the domain and magically everything starts working again. And somehow the user is still upset because she only has an hour left to get all her work done and I cut into that time. It literally took 10 minutes start to finish. Oh well, at least it's Friday. Thank you. Next. Previous here. Some time after the email sent from $user director from the last time, $boss called $coworker and $me, $boss. Guys, I have good and bad news. Which one you want? $coworker. The bad one? $boss. The bad one is that I'm going on vacations the next 2 weeks. $coworker and $me. Wait, what? $boss. Yes, I have them planned for a year. $me. Are you aware that $user director want to talk to you about the support for their system? $boss. Of course. And I have you covered for this. $coworker is taking my place while I'm out. $coworker. What? $me to $coworker. I don't envy you. Good luck. $coworker. Resigned. Okay. And what's the good news? $boss. Oh, the good news is that I'm going on vacations. Never told you guys good news for who. After not having other option that leaving $boss take his vacations. Some days passed and $coworker was summoned to a reunion with $user director and $boss's boss. So $coworker went to it and returned with dead eyes. What he told me was that when he came to the room $user director, $boss's boss, $dev lead, and a lot of high directors were there. Okay, that wasn't a work reunion, it was a slaughter. I wasn't there but the interaction was something like this. $user director, $boss's boss. The past 2 weekends we had issues with the system and $coworker and $me weren't of any help. $coworker. Well, first of all, it wasn't that we didn't want to help. It was because we can't access remotely to the servers. So we asked for dev team to help us giving this access. Also, if the servers need a reboot or something like that, The responsibles of those tasks aren't going to do it because the servers aren't production. $user director. Yes they are. We have 5 clients connected to it, and some other director said that one client was going to be considered as production. $co-worker. It's not that. The problem is that the dev team hasn't promoted the servers to production. So, the corresponding areas can't give them support because the servers have a dev label. $boss is boss. Well, it's easy, just put a label on the servers that say they're production. $co-worker. It's not that easy, the dev team must follow the correct process to promote the servers into production. He missed the opportunity to say something like yes, I'm going to buy some post-its and put them on the virtual servers so the teams could read them. And because we only give support to production, dev team must be doing the support until they promote. $dev lead, but we can't give support to the platform, because we don't have the technical people to do it. $co-worker, wait, you're the dev team and don't have the technical people? $boss is boss. $dev lead is right. Dev team shouldn't have technical people. Yes, he said that. $user director. $boss is boss. We need full support. We're having a lot of impact because of this. For 5 clients? $boss is boss. Don't worry $user director. We're going to give you support. Oh crap. Now I'm the father of a bastard child. Edit. Some formatting and adding a link to the previous post. Thank you. Next. Just had someone get pissy at me because they created a spreadsheet with 100,000 rows and tried to email it. It was 34 millibars. Then I said that we could copy and paste the sheet into another document. It didn't paste exactly, so that wasn't good enough. I said she could manually format it the way she wants, but she said that wasn't good enough. It was due at 4 p.m. She messaged me at 4:45 p.m. about the issue BTW. I get off at 5 and was on the phone about another issue. I tried deleting the spaces, but every time I tried Excel would freeze. Then she tried to tell me that one of the sheets didn't have 100,000 rows on it and proceeded to kick me off the screen sharing program. I'm not super great with Excel anyway, and it's not really part of my job to do this kind of thing. This person got the Best Employee of the Year award BTW. Thank you. Next. This is a text message I getting at 5 a.m., followed by a phone call from an irate supervisor. I had done a change last night, tested it, and it worked fine, so I wasn't sure what was going on. The change consisted of pushing out an update for VMware Horizon Client, and out VM vendor put us behind a different firewall. So I turn on my laptop to see this coach, supervisor, has emailed me, my boss, her boss, our emergency response team, and the client all on one email talking about how she wasn't made aware of the change and they did not receive proper training on it. I didn't send any training out because nothing changes as far as end user experience, but I did let them know a change was happening and to let me know if there's any issues. Okay, whatever, let's see what the problem is. I sign into my laptop, open VMware, sign right in. Okay, let's RDP into an agent's desktop and see what the issue is. I know this isn't great security practice, but all agent passwords are the same format where the first part of the password is the same, the end of their password is their employee ID, and then they receive a too far phone call. So I'm on this agent desktop, type his credentials in for him, he gets his phone call, he's in. So what's the problem? I call the supervisor back to get an explanation and her response is the login's page is broken. There's no place to enter their password. Strange, because I just signed myself and an agent in. So I RDP into the supervisor's desktop, enter her creds, she gets the phone call. She's flabbergasted and asks how I did that. Me, isn't this how you sign in every day? Her, no, the login in page has changed, nobody can get it. They don't know what the passcode is. Me, what do you mean passcode? Her, it's asking for a passcode when you sign in. I sign out of VMware, go to sign back in, and Lee, shit, the change we made changed the word password to passcode. That was it. Everything functioned exactly the same except the name of the field changed. I didn't send an alert out about this before the change because I didn't even notice it. I am not sure what is more blood boiling. That nearly every agent freaked out when they saw it and alerted the supervisor, or that the supervisor told them not to touch anything until she called me. I send an email out to everyone. They all sign in, And now that the client is aware and saw that nobody was taking phone calls when they were supposed to, we got slapped with a fine for being down for an hour. My boss defended me, stating that stupidity isn't an IT issues, but we still got pulled into a meeting getting our asses chewed for not providing proper documentation, and it was mentioned that since this was an IT issue in their eyes that the $7,000 fine to the client would come out of the IT budget. I've been with the company almost 10 years, and in the past 6 months our building shut down and migrated everything to a work-at-home model. All the stupidity I've experienced in the past 9 years is nothing compared to raw, concentrated level of mental disability I've saw with this at-home program. I've since put my 2 weeks in and start another job next week. TL. Doctor. Password fields changed to passcode. People were too dumb to log in. Had to pay a fine. Straw that broke the camel's back, and I've now quit after 10 years. Thank you. Next. Sorry if this story is a bit rough. It's my first time posting here, and it's been the better part of a decade since this story took place. This story takes place shortly before and after I joined $company working at a small satellite office sat a couple states over from the North America headquarters where all other engineering was done. Originally a small startup, $sat was acquired by $company to make their fancy industrial control software exclusively for $company's really expensive machines. In this story we have $sat, satellite office, former startup acquired by $company $SE, senior engineer, founder of the acquired startup, head of $sat $SEA. CEO of $company who personally oversaw the acquisition of $SE CTO, technical/engineering director of $company, does not trust $SE or anything he does. $sit, central IT, located at the master office $lit, local IT support, technically not a member of the IT department $HR, human resources $CSA, corporate spyware application $X. Fancy, and extremely proprietary, industrial control software. For years since the acquisition, $CTO had been trying to get $SE to move his software development operation to $company's HQ, which $SE steadfastly refused to do. This did not put him in good graces with $CTO, who disliked that he was unable to oversee, micromanage, the software development process, which he knew nothing about. Unfortunately for him, despite significantly outranking $SE, $SE carried significant clout with $SEA and had made it abundantly clear he would not succumb to $CTO's demands. This back and forth went on for years without making much traction. $SAT brought in steady profits, and a happy $SE is a profitable $SE. At some indeterminate point, $CTO attended some sort of panel on corporate security at an expensive conference, and discovered the wonderful world of corporate spyware. One fateful night, as the workstations were dutifully chugging through their weekly updates, $CSA was installed and began doing whatever spyware-ish things it was designed to do. Upon discovering this, $SE was quite upset and had approximately the following conversation with $SIT. $SE, I want $CSA removed from all the computers in my office immediately. $SIT, no. It's important to note that in addition to the clout he carried with $SEA, $SE was literally the only person capable of understanding the 15 million lines of legacy code that made up $X. If $company lost $SE, they'd lose $X with him. $SE knew this, and was ready to leverage it to his advantage. Not willing to take no for an answer, $SE enlisted the help of $lit to stage a technic-up against $SIT, as any reasonable engineer would. One fateful night several days later, $lit pulled the plug on $company's network rack, bringing the whole office offline. For the next several hours, $lit and $SE moved $company's fancy workstations into the back of the utility closet, and replaced them with their pre-acquisition desktop machines. A new business internet line had been secretly installed using the office snack budget. It wasn't getting used for much anyways, and the next morning everything was up and running. $CSA. It would not be a stretch to say $SIT was angry about this. Nor would it be a stretch to say $CTO was angry about this. At the same time, $SE was smirking away like a kid who'd just stolen a cookie and knew he'd get away with it. As one would expect, $SIT escalated the matter to $HR, who escalated the matter to $CTO, who personally drove nearly 300 miles to chew $SE out. Some degree of fighting took place behind closed doors. $SE was phoned in, more fighting took place, but at the end of the day $SE emerged victorious. Over the next couple of years, $CTO made several other attempts to gain control of $SAT but was ultimately unsuccessful. Despite his ongoing shenaniganry, $SE was considered too valuable to the company to let go, and was free to operate $SAT with near impunity. Despite leaving $company several years ago, I keep in touch with $SE from time to see how things are going, and last I heard they still have $company's workstations in the back of the utility room where they stuck them all those years ago. Whether he keeps them as a matter of funky corporate inventory or a memento to his victory over $CTO remains a mystery to all but him.